Oh, hey, it's time for Letters to an Asexual. Number 75. I'm eating Girl Scout cookies. If you've heard those rumors that Girl Scout cookies are bad because they support queer identities and include trans girls, it's a good reason to buy like 10 boxes, right? I love when you see those ads where they're like, if you do this, you're supporting this terrible agenda. And it's like totally something I want to support, and I'm like, thanks for letting me know. So, let's see. I'm going to do a letter. I don't think I wasn't able to find the original comment that inspired this thread. But I will say that it was someone that I was basically friendly with, and so I want to be selective about how I talk about this, just to try to protect his privacy a little bit. I don't know. But ultimately I was frustrated by what he said, and I think it is relevant to the message of my channel, so I want to share some of it with you. I unfriended someone that I knew on Facebook because he posted this status that just really shocked me, and it essentially said something like, if a man and a woman are not dating, it necessarily means that one of them has to be at least a little disgusted by the other one if they're not dating. And he added a sentence about, if you think this isn't true, then you're naive, or if someone tells you that this isn't true, then they're lying to you, that kind of thing. Like, speaking for other people. If anybody claims that this is not how they feel, they're misrepresenting themselves, because this is universal. And that kind of thing always just gives me the heebie-jeebies, especially when you're assigning someone a level of disgust. If there's a male-female duo and they're not dating, they must be grossed out by each other on some level, and that's so upsetting to me on a fundamental level. Plus, I'm a woman and this was a man, so basically he's saying that one of us is disgusted by the other, and that's the only reason we're not dating. I mean, even if it wasn't somebody that I knew in real life, which it wasn't. But anyway, I guess he noticed that I had unfriended him and commented on it. I'm not going to read exactly what he said, but he gave me kind of like his history to sort of remind me who he was, so that just in case, I guess, I forgot who he was. And he suggested, oh, maybe you just are narrowing your focus, and that's okay. Like, since I've never met you, then maybe that's why you kicked me out. And I decided to be honest with him. And I'm okay with reading my own words. And I said, I'm afraid that in this case it has nothing to do with whether we've met in person. I dropped you from my friends list after you posted a status expressing your opinion that a man and a woman cannot be friends unless they harbor a level of disgust for each other, followed by claiming that this is true for everyone, even if they will not admit it. I felt that a person who believes something like this and assigns said attitude to others probably should not have access to my inner circle, so I hope you will understand and respect that. And I'll try to just paraphrase this so that I'm not literally reading this guy's words, because, anyway, he said that by level of disgust, he just means there isn't any physical or sexual attraction. Which, again, that's fundamentally disturbing to me, that you would say if this element isn't present, then that is another word for being disgusted. Like, Anyway, so he explains that he's been attracted to women and they're not attracted to him, so that's disgust. And he's talking about when you love someone and they don't love you back. And Let's see. He says also that if the different people had different goals in life, then that would fall into this category. He he says that if they had different goals in life, like perhaps he uses as a personal example that since he doesn't want to have kids, that's part of the reason that a lot of women don't want to have anything to do with him, and that is something that will make the man and the woman incompatible as lovers. And then he tells me like a personal story about an example. And then he says that maybe disgust was the wrong word and he should have chosen something else. And so he tries to modify it for me, and he says, so let's try this. If there's a man and a woman, there's people of opposite gender, which I hate use of opposite. It's not an opposite. But, I mean, I understand what they're talking about. In a binary system, there are these two peaks, a man and a woman, and I understand that a lot of people think that's all there is, and they think of it as opposites, but it's not opposites any more than a cat is an opposite of a dog, so... but anyway, he says that if they are opposite gender, and they're just friends, they're not lovers, there's a reason. So, and then he apologizes and says it wasn't what he intended if he upset me. So, again, back to my literal words. I said, honestly, it is not just harboring disgust for someone that bothered me. It's also the sentiment that if other people do not feel the same way you do, they're not admitting it rather than not feeling it. When people assign other people their own feelings and decide that others who don't admit to feeling the same are being dishonest about it, it seems really suspicious to me. I don't know whether you simply chose the wrong word when you said disgust, but what you described above reinforces the same attitude I don't agree with. I'm still very much not on board with the idea that people have to be actively put off by each other, or at least one in every pair must feel some kind of repulsion, in order to not be lovers. It suggests that the default is lovers, unless there is a reason. Well, I would think there would normally have to be a reason to be lovers. I don't support normalizing a view of the world in which someone basically needs an excuse or a rationalization or a why not in order to not be attracted to you. Especially since this is applied in your description to guy-girl pairs, but doesn't seem to be ascribed to any other gender configuration. For instance, I've never heard two straight girls who are friends described as being a little disgusted by each other. Their friendship status is accepted without anyone asking why or suggesting they'd be lovers if they were lesbians. So I'm getting really sick of people viewing non-romantic, non-sexual guy-girl relationships as unnatural or unusual or actively prevented by some definable why not. Nor do I like the suggestion that a friendship is what someone settles for if they cannot have a sexual relationship. I'm very wary of any narratives that support guys and girls just can't be friends, no matter how many caveats you stick in there. I wouldn't worry about offending me. I'm just saying that once I heard what you expressed, I no longer wanted to say the kinds of things I say on Facebook in front of someone who believes this way because it feels unsafe to me. Hopefully you understand. Let's see. Then he kind of starts talking about how people wouldn't think anything about straight women. Like, nobody would question their friendship. And he says some stuff about how homosexuality is so rare that you just don't think about it. This is, again, like this mentality that it does not describe what's going on in my world. Even though heterosexuality is popular, it is not something that should be perceived as the default when set against something so vanishingly rare that you really just don't, you can talk like it doesn't exist or might as well not exist. He talks about closeted people and how a lot of people don't come out as homosexual because they're afraid of being stigmatized. I'm not really sure about this kind of sideways ramble about why it's okay to assume most people who don't identify as straight, or most people who don't identify as gay must be straight. But he's kind of trying to make sure I don't think that he's a homophobe or his prejudice, because that's kind of where a lot of conversations like this go. Oh, you caught me doing this. You must think that I hate gays. I don't hate gays. I love gays. I have a gay friend. That kind of thing. Let me see if he says that. I don't think he mentions a gay friend. It's kind of mean of me. I'm not trying to make fun of this guy, but again, it's somebody that I felt really put off by what he said, and he's really not making it better with these additions. Let's see. So he says there's nothing wrong with being gay, and then he specifies again that it doesn't hurt his feelings if I just want him to follow my stuff and not be my friend. So my words. I wasn't questioning whether you were homophobic or suggesting anything about same-sex relationships. What I was doing was saying guy-girl friendships are not something I regard as anomalous or only existing if at least one of them is disgusted in some way by the other. The point is that for all pairs that are not guy-girl, romantic and sexual relationships tend not to be assumed. And they're certainly not usually presented as the natural order of things unless there's a reason. I don't like sentiments that present guy-girl friendships as less than. A friendship, or any non-romantic, non-sexual relationship, isn't something I regard to be the consolation prize if there's a reason they can't be lovers. I think a friendship is perfectly natural between a guy and a girl, just like most people don't second-guess friendships between any other gender pair. So, I am vehemently opposed to anyone supporting ideas like straight guys and straight girls can't be friends unless they're gross to each other for some reason. Not only because I think it's a dangerous thing to devalue friendship and suggest it is made possible between straight men and women only through failure to be romantic and sexual, but because it sets up an inaccurate, overly simplified dichotomy in which all of my straight male friends are either disgusted by me or would want to be my lover if I wanted them back. That isn't true, and I'm put off by anyone saying, I only think so because the men aren't admitting it. I hope that puts my viewpoint into perspective. He said a couple more things, but I don't need to share them because they're mostly just personal stories about his experiences, not having anybody reciprocate how he feels. So I guess that's where he gets the ideas, his own personal experiences in the world as a person who has been on the painful end of rejection. And I guess if you go through a lot of relationships like that, where everybody, because he kind of admits in this extra stuff, he kind of admits that he basically falls in love with women all the time and they don't want him back. And I guess in that context, that's why friendship seems negative, I guess. And I'm all the way on the other side. I mean, I admit, because of my personal experiences, I am biased toward thinking friendship is great, and I'm irritated when people feel like it's a disappointment, I guess. Anyway, I said a lot of what I want to say, but I guess I'll elaborate a little bit about that default. I have a lot of male friends. I have some really close male friends. And in this world, we have certain feelings about other people's intimacy and whether it's okay. One of my newer friends is a man who he's married, and he's also a poly person, and he has an open relationship with his wife. She goes with other people and he is free to go with other people, but we were talking the other day about how people immediately think if he's talking to another woman, the first thing they think of is, what if he's violating his relationship with his wife or his wife's trust? That's the first thing they think of is, if you're talking to another woman, there's a chance you're feeling the wrong things and it's probably hurting her or spoiling something. That you're not allowed to have other feelings or even very strong feelings without betraying someone else. You already found the person that you're supposed to have these very strong reciprocal feelings with. And if you start to like anybody else enough, it's going to cross some line, especially if they're a gender that you can possibly be sexually attracted to. And that to me is, it's hard for me to understand because I don't experience jealousy like that at all. Of course, if I have somebody that means a great deal to me and I end up not being able to see them very much because they're just ignoring me because they're paying attention to somebody else and I just suddenly become irrelevant, obviously I'm going to be some flavor of jealous in there. It's not like, oh, I hate that person that you're spending time with and I'm gonna say nasty things about them. But it's like, I'll be jealous about time not spent with me when I want it back. But it doesn't manifest as emotional cheating suspicion. It's not like I'm going to put a limit on how much I feel comfortable with you feeling for someone else. I mean, as long as that person is able to have a relationship with me that we are both satisfied with on our own terms, somebody else's marriage, somebody else's relationships, someone else's sexual encounters, someone else's job, whatever they're doing, doesn't threaten me. And I think, again, especially if it has to do with another person who's of a gender that you can possibly find sexually attractive, people just say it's not okay for you to be interested in that if you already have a partner. And even if people are polyamorous, like they'll still bump up against a lot of people who are very sure that it isn't okay or somebody's getting screwed. Being a person who only has things that are relationships that are categorized as friendships, there's still so many degrees of it. And since I am 42 years old, and it would be pretty strange at this point for me to find out that there are exceptions to the limits on whether I feel any sexual attraction, because I haven't so far. And so everything that I've felt towards someone in a positive attraction sort of way is in the realm of friendship. So, you know, I'm pretty justified in saying, like, I don't think this is going to happen. These flavors are just not in my palate, and that's fine. So, being that this is something that is a predictable pattern in my life, I really do resent being treated like that's the only reason, like that I'm not sexually attracted to men, or I'm not sexually attracted to women, or I'm not sexually attracted to any gender, like that's the reason that oh, that's why she's not with this person. I mean, it's certainly a factor, but if I was straight, there would still be a possibility that that person is my friend and not my lover, or my friend and not my romantic partner. Just because you have the capacity to find that gender attractive does not mean that there's something wrong or there's something weird if you don't, or that you must already have some prior commitment. The idea that couples are basically the default and you'll date unless you have some real specific reason not to has really caused me a lot of problems over the years. Like, when people misunderstand or even mock my relationships with other people, suggesting that, oh, you wouldn't do such and such thing that you did if you weren't into him. It's like, yeah, I did and would and did. You know, like, one of my very close male friends is someone that I trust enough that I co-signed on a car loan with him. And so, I mean, it's not typical for people who are not partnered somehow or family to co-own a vehicle, but that's what we did, and we were kind of treated like we were a couple. And it's like, it doesn't matter to me if the car dealership guy, who incidentally was racist, it was weird, but they it doesn't matter to me if the car dealership guy thinks that I'm a couple with this person that I'm signing. It's like I don't have to explain it to him. But then people are just like, huh, that's a weird thing to do if you're just friends. Why? He's my friend. I've known him for more than 20 years. So, have I? Yeah, this year it'll be 20 years, so yeah. Huh. We should celebrate. Anyway, and my other closest friends, like, I've done stuff for them, like, that you have to trust somebody a lot to do, helping them through tough times by lending them money, or being willing to hear their very private issues, trusting them with mine. And I don't know, it's stuff that I think fully fits into friendship categories, but it seems like, especially with the closest female friend that I have, my friend Megan, people are not confused about whether we might secretly be lesbians. And she's married, and people don't think that way about women, but my relationships with the men in my life are not that much different. I mean they are individually, but just flavor-wise, they're all friendships. And it's not weirder that I'm not involved with either of, like, my longest term friends, my friends Joe and Victor, and I've known them both for, again, one 20 years, one more than 20 years, and Megan I've known the longest, but these are lifelong relationships that I hope endure until the end of all of our lives, and they're people that I trust and I care a lot about. And it really bothers me that people think there's something wrong with that. That they would say, oh, you're not dating, why not? It's like, I don't know, do you walk up to people who are married and say, why aren't you guys best friends? How come you're married? You don't ask that question. You don't ask them, why is their relationship the way that it is, and act like there's something weird about it. But that's the kinds of questions I get about my relationships with men primarily. So, well, I'll wrap it up at that point, and I'll see y'all next time, and eat my Thin Mints. Bye.